Did you know the first ever Apple computer was just a motherboard? Yet that motherboard was the beginning of Apple's successful run in the industry. So successful in fact that Apple has become the world's first trillion-dollar public company. In today's video, we'll be looking back at Apple's history and unveiling how Apple became the first trillion-dollar company, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video to find out how. Apple was founded 42 years ago in 1976 by three friends, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and lesser-known founder Ronald Wayne. Jobs and Wozniak was introduced in 1971 and became friends through their love of technology, later meeting Wayne in 1976, and on the 1st of April that same year, the three founded Apple Computer Inc. The name came from Steve Jobs when he came back from an apple farm and found the name to be fun and not intimidating, as well as the name benefiting from beginning with a letter A, which meant that it would be nearer the front of any listings. Now, you most definitely heard of Steve Jobs and probably even heard of Steve Wozniak, but maybe thinking, who is Ronald Wayne? Well, back when the company was just first starting out, Wayne's role was to provide administrative oversight and documentation for the new company. However, Wayne would not last long at Apple. Just 12 days after the company was founded, Wayne left and sold his 10% share for just $500, a holding that would have been worth $72 billion 40 years later. But nevertheless, Jobs and Wozniak carried on without Ronald Wayne, and it wouldn't be too long before they produced their first ever Apple product. The first Apple product was the Apple I. The Apple Computer I, or originally named the Apple Computer, is a desktop computer designed by Steve Wozniak and was first demonstrated at the Homebrew Computer Club, a computer hobbyist group in California. Steve Wozniak first attended the Homebrew Computer Club in 1975 and was so inspired that he immediately began work on the Apple I. The Apple I was sold for $666.66, and buyers received a blank printed circuit board, parts kits, and a 16-page assembly manual. The Apple I required the buyer to add their own power supply, keyboard, storage system, and display. The Apple I mainly provided revenue to fund the next Apple product, and in 1977 the Apple I was discontinued, with Steve Jobs destroying most of the remaining products. Apple I helped get the company enough capital to build their next computer, the Apple II. Unlike the Apple I, buyers did not need to buy extra parts to use this computer. Wozniak primarily built the computer, whereas Jobs handled the marketing side of the business, and soon enough the Apple II became one of the world's first successful mass-produced microcomputer. The Apple II managed to drive Apple's revenue until the mid-1980s, and in 1984 Apple came out with the next big thing in tech, the Apple Macintosh. The Macintosh was Apple's first all-in-one personal computer, and although it was more expensive than other personal computers out at the time, the Macintosh made Apple the second largest PC manufacturer for the next decade. Although in the 1980s, Apple started running into some troubles. With poor revenues from the Macintosh and internal disputes, Apple's board eventually dismissed Steve Jobs in favour for John Sculley. Under John Sculley, Apple achieved some good growth, with its product line increasing and their premium products growing, but unfortunately the introduction of Windows took over the Macintosh and became the industry standard. Fast forward to 1997 and Steve Jobs returned back to the company and launched a new iMac with a strong marketing campaign featuring the slogan, "Think Different." And from then onwards, Apple has continually produced innovative products which eventually led to them becoming the world's first trillion-dollar public company. Brilliant marketing and premium products are noted for Apple's success, with the products such as the iMac G3 in 1998 putting Apple on the map and making Apple the household name that we know it as today. And since then, Apple has continuously put out products that have never been done before, keeping the company constantly growing as their performance and designs kept the Apple brand always ahead in the industry, driving constant success. Since the iMac, Apple steadily put out a constant stream of products that focus on elegance and user experience. with the iPod taking over the MP3 players in 2001 and eventually dominating the market. Apple continued this trend as in 2007 the launch of the new iPhone came onto the market, eventually taking over the smartphone industry and paving the way for smartphones. This upwards growth has continued for Apple and now have a whole ecosystem of products that work interchangeably with each other. From having their own music streaming service and TV streaming service that work on most of Apple products. Apple has changed the way in which technology works with each other, making their devices seamlessly compatible with one another, which has made their products popular amongst the consumers. As Apple has made it easy for their consumers to have all their Apple products work with each other, it is more likely that if you have an iPhone, you have paid for Apple Music, which you listen to on your MacBook, and check your fitness goals on your Apple Watch. This ecosystem of products is what makes Apple stand out and drive its sales among their sleek designs and grand product reveals. All these aspects keep consumers lining up outside the Apple stores waiting for their new device. There is no surprise that in 2018, Apple became a $1 trillion company, and only 2 years later they went past $2 trillion, and then just 16 months and 15 days later they achieved their next trillion. Since the beginning in 1976 to the year 2022, Apple has been on an upwards trajectory to achieving great things in the tech industry and become one of the most valuable companies. Apple has managed to achieve its trillions as many investors have bought Apple stock, as well as Apple purchasing $488 billion of its own shares over the past decade. And whilst other companies have struggled during the pandemic, luckily for Apple their sales benefited hugely from the pandemic as sales went soaring, as people were purchasing more products to use for work, study and to socialise whilst being locked indoors. It has been over 40 years since the first ever Apple product was made, and through constant development of the brand, 4 decades later, Apple is still one of the biggest well-known brands on the market today. And in the recent past years have invested $82 billion on research and development into their products. Each step Apple has taken has pushed them closer to achieving and breaking so many records, and as technology continues to grow and new innovations continue to be made, I'm sure Apple won't be far behind producing the next big things in tech. Thank you for watching today's video. Let us know what your favourite Apple product is in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.